Today, we're going to talk about building extra income. This is the stage you've all been waiting for. If you guys are looking for more of the same, not wanting to change anything in your life, don't click subscribe. That button's for people who are ready to be smarter today and richer tomorrow. This is the stage that most people like to get to, and it's stage 3. And there's a reason. We wanted to do stage 1 and stage 2 to set us up for stage 3. And once we get there, it's a lot easier to get to stage 3. Each one of these stages is easier by doing the stages before them. So by jumping to stage 3, if you skip stage 1 and 2, stage 1 being to get your preferred life, stage 2, reducing your expenses. If you skip those 2 stages first, it's going to be harder, if not impossible, to do this effectively in a way that's going to help you reach your goals. It's like bread and butter. I mean, they just supercharge each other. Having your expenses reduced before you go into it, having your preferred life in before you reduce your expenses and increase your income. Just each one of these building up, it's like magic coming together. You're just putting a magic potion together, and it's not the type that's going to knock Snow White out into a deep sleep, but it's going to really help you get to what it is that you really want.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to sum up the first couple stages there in a couple of words. I would say the first stage is focus and drive. So you know exactly kind of what you want, the direction that you're going in. I'm in Ohio and I want to get to California. So I know the general direction that I got to go. So when opportunities come my way or even difficulties come my way, I know how to navigate through them. I can look at my preferred life and just be like, okay, this is in my preferred life. It's time. I'm going to go on. I'm taking this turn. Or this is not in my preferred life. This promotion looks great. It's a $20,000 or $30,000 promotion, but I'm also giving up the rest of my life to take this opportunity, and I'm going to be at work for 70 hours a week. And I actually have a cousin that did that, and he moved up really high in the company, and he lived there, and he makes good money, and it only cost him most of his working life to do it. So that's pretty expensive.
Yeah, and it's sorry, Joe. It's quite a fallacy to try to go that way too, of just increasing your income, because we think that if I just make enough money, then all these other things don't matter. And sure, at some level that's true, but not the way for most of the world. We actually have to have what it is that we want, have to have our expenses in check, and then we can make the money that we need to make. Not necessarily go out and make extra money because I'm blowing it on a car that I don't need, subscriptions that I forgot about, all these other silly expenses. It's a lot easier. And because what you end up doing, if you just try to go after increasing your money first, you get to those higher paying jobs like that, and you get into what are called golden handcuffs. Now, those are much harder to get out of, because now you're relying on that income for that lifestyle that you've created and you've wrapped yourself in, because you've just increased your expenses along the way, and you're really not making any more money than what you started off with. So that's why it's important to not jump to this stage first.
Absolutely. And stage 2, if I had to sum that up into one word, it would be discipline. You're erasing terrible habits that we've all had one way or another, and you're replacing them with good habits. And if you got a check in the mail for $5,000, that should not change anything that you're doing in your life one way or another. If you have a lot of bad habits in stage 2, I know people that would go out and spend that money be spent before it even went from pending to cleared in the checking account, because they would just go blow up their credit card for $5,000. And that's where, if you don't get stage 2, stage 3 is a complete waste of time. You're just giving more ammunition to a bad habit. And this is why stage 3 is at stage 3. And a lot of people, when they get in money trouble, the first thing they do is they jump to stage 3. They go to www.I-need-to-make-an-extra-$500 a month.com, and then they come up with this list of 50 different things, and they do it maybe, And then if they stick with it, then guess what also goes up? Their budget, miraculously. And this is why this is where stage 3 starts, is when you're making incremental income, extra income, surplus income. You are wise enough now, and you are smart enough now, and you're disciplined enough now, and you are focused enough now, and you're driven enough now to put that money towards things that actually give you true value in your life. And this is different for me versus Reese versus anybody else that is watching this. Value is a blanket vanilla definition and it's subjective. What you find value in, it could be a sports car, it could be a family trip vacation, it could be a piece of art, it could be whatever. It doesn't matter, but it has to bring you value, and it has to add to your life and not to your misery.
Right. And the other thing too, when you go to make an extra $500 a month.com, are you now spending that extra $500 a month and it's not actually contributing to what it is that you wanted to make that money for to begin with? You also are doing something that is not in the way that you want to live your life. When you go to that website and you see that list of things to do, that's the list of options they give you that you're going to follow. It's not coming from something that, hey, here's something that I want to go do. I want to live my life in this way. How can I go live my life doing that? And then let's figure out a money plan. Let's figure out a money plan. Oh, here's an answer. And now you're doing something that you don't want to do. It doesn't match up with who you are. It doesn't match up with how you want to live your life. You feel this tension, and things are all messed up inside. So yeah, that's not the way you want to do it. Just go to stage 1, go to stage 2, and then stage 3. Don't jump to the money first. But all right, all that Debbie Downer side of not jumping to making more money. When you do get to stage 3 and you do start increasing your income, that's probably the first time that you really feel like you're starting to see some success, like you're feeling like you're actually on that path to freedom. Because when you're in stage 1 and stage 2, it's a lot of work. And maybe your expenses are so out of whack that you feel like you can breathe again once you've gotten those expenses down. But stage 3, once you start making that extra income, it's like, oh man, I can do this. I can actually go and make money beyond just one source of income, where I'm just only trading my time for money. So it's like a breath of fresh air. It's the first point you see you feel like you see some real results.
And stage 3 is to the point where it's you are now making a conscious choice, because technically you could stay in stage 2. You could just coast through life and just stay in stage 2 and not put forth any other effort. The reason why you're moving on to stage 3 is because of that exciting stage 1 preferred life that you created for yourself that is above and beyond what you have right now. And you may be happy with the material things that you have in your life. You might not. Let's just say that you are. You're happy with everything that you have. Everything's paid off. And you could go the rest of your life and not have to make anything more material. Okay, well, that's the money part of it. The other part of it is time. And time is something that's finite for all of us. You can't buy more of it. When it comes to, if you make it to 100, you made it past pretty much everybody else. And you don't know when your time is up. It's different for everybody. And especially if you have children or you have aging parents, that time is going to end at some point too. You can't go back to when your kid was young and you took them to school every day because you didn't have to go to a job, or you got to spend an entire week with your aging parents because you have more flexible hours of working and vacation than what you would have with a stereotypical 9-to-5 job where you're at the mercy of a boss or a corporation that doesn't really care about you. The time factor we can all relate to, for sure. And we all get 24 hours in the day. You take out 8 for sleeping, we all get 16. And the goal is to get to 16 hours of doing exactly what you do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it, whenever you want to do it. And this is where you start to make that happen. This is where you start to switch over from the trading my time for dollars to I'm going to go put my money to work, and I'm going to let my money go out and get a job, and I'm going to just kind of manage the transactions and making sure that everything's okay. I'm going to sit here and create the system, and I'm going to tweak the dials on it here every now and again when I need to, versus going out there and trading your time for dollars.
Right. And the reason why you have to make that transition and why it happens in stage 3 is because at stage 2, you can reduce those expenses down so far, but you're never going to starve yourself to freedom. You can't reduce your expenses so much that you're now free. At some point, you do have to go make more money. And so you'll see some of these people in maybe the FIRE community or, financial independence, retire early. They'll say reduce your expenses. Well, there is the other school of thought. It's like just increase your income. Well, you kind of need both. You do need the low expensive. You do need the more income. And those two together are just, like I said earlier, they supercharge you to that freedom. So as you're coming into that and making that more money, there are 2 types of income that Joe was starting to hint at there that you'll be making. The first is active income. That is where you are trading your time for money. You're going to a job, say it pays $10 an hour. I work 8 hours. I made $80. That is active income. And you can actually make quite a little bit of money in active income. You can be, say, a CEO of a company, and you're still going in trading time for money. It's on a salary basis and bonus basis at that point, but you're still actively working for that money. It's not necessarily just coming back to you in a system. The other side of that, the system side, is passive income. And man, is it sweet. So as these systems build up, as you're working in that active income, you're building in ways to slowly start bringing you in more money. And we start ramping these up. You build them up as you're using that extra income, and you transition from the active income into more of the passive income. So you're making a lot more money from passive income per hour over time than you are with your active income.
And this might be a new concept for some people listening to this, and this might be something that they've heard a million times. If you're new to it and you're not getting it, believe it or not, you're already working towards that. Because if you have a job, 40 hours a week, that's your active income. And what are you doing with that money? Some of it's going to the tax man, expenses, fun, and a little bit's going to a retirement, a 401k, a Roth, whatever. And you're working towards the point to where you can live off of your retirement / Social Security / pension, whatever that is. So you're doing the active income right now and slowly trying to convert those dollars from active dollars to passive dollars. And as soon as you hit that point, which for a lot of people, it's 65, 63, 67, or never, that's what everybody's doing right now. So it is critical to understand and get very familiar with the difference between active income and passive income. Now, Reese and I are very partial to the passive income, but both sides have pros and cons, for sure. And it's wise to do both. But you want to try to convert as much as possible over from the active income into the passive income. And Reese and I can create as many videos as you want us to for how to do that with different options. And it can be an endless video train for that. That's no big deal. The key is you want to find something that you actually enjoy doing. If day trading on the stock market is active income. You're physically doing something. You're sitting in front of the computer. You're looking up and you're looking at the analysis of the stocks and you're looking for opportunities for a sell or a buy, and then you're quickly trying to sell or buy on the back end and create that money in the spread. That is active income when it comes to the stock market. If you're just throwing a bunch of money into a bunch of dividend paying stocks that are probably going to go up, then that's more of a passive thing. You might check that once a month. You might watch their quarterly report. You might watch a news article on it. That's still passive income. You're not actively doing it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So it is important to know the difference between the two and find your niche for both.
Yeah. So maybe if some of these financial terms aren't really sticking, another analogy Joe and I like to use is like washing clothes. So if you think back to maybe your grandma or your great grandma, or maybe you just even heard stories about somebody at some point in the past, the way they used to have to wash their clothes. You heard of an old washboard in a tub, and they just sit there and they scrub their clothes in that tub. That's very active. They're having to do piece by piece of the clothing, and it's just very manual. Then they have to hand wring them out, or maybe they were a little fancy and they had a wringer that they could run them through. Very active, very labor intensive type of work, as opposed to having a system to do it for you. Modern day, we have a washing machine. What do? Kind of like Joe said, you adjust the knobs, you press the button, right? You put your clothes in, you adjust the knob, press the button, you come back a little while later, clothes are clean. That's a beautiful system, as opposed to having to sit there and hand wash them all. What were you doing in the time that you were washing your clothes? Watching Netflix, hanging out, sitting on the beach, and whatever it is you want to do. You're out living your life while the thing you wanted to do is getting done. So that's a lot better example of, well, I don't know about a better example, but a good situation of active income and passive income, and why that passive income is so sweet. Either way, you need clean clothes. That's how you're going to get it done.
You just go around your house. Everything in your house is a system. You get the microwave. That's a system. You pop your thing in there, beep, 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 and then you pull it out 5 minutes later, 4 minutes later, and it's done. The oven takes longer, tastes better, but it's still a system. And you're not out with a spear trying to hunt boar or whatever, trying to physically capture your food. That's active income. That would be the active version of the income. You go to the grocery store, it's already prepackaged for you. You take the chicken breasts out, you cook them up, you boil them or whatever you do, pan fry them, and it's done. That's the passive part of it. It's the oven, it's the microwave, it's the washing machine, it's the dishwasher when you're done washing the dishes. I think you guys probably get it by now, the difference between active income and passive income. I'm going to go through a quick bullet point of basically how to, this is a very generic way of passive income creation. So find something that you're interested in, something that actually is, you want to learn about, it's fun, exciting. It could be anything, because if there is a need for it, and if there's a need for it, a demand for it, and there is a problem within the marketplace that nobody is fixing, there's your opportunity to fix a problem. If you want to make money in the United States or anywhere else, basically solve a problem that no one else is fixing, and you're going to make some money at it. So learn about it. I would say roughly, once you get to about 40% knowledge, it's time to take what's called a calculated risk. You know enough about it from a layman's standpoint where you haven't tried anything yet. You take that incremental jump. I'm not saying bet the entire farm on this portion of it. You're betting on yourself and your knowledge, and taking a calculated risk with an amount of money, an amount of time, an amount of effort that you're willing to risk, basically, and try something out and experiment. And then one of our old coaches, when he said that you want to do advertising and find off-market deals, he says the first two things you do is you sit down and you set a budget for how much you want to market, and you never deviate from that. No matter if I don't get a deal, no matter what, I will spend this amount of money per month on marketing to get a deal. The other part of it was the time. I will invest this amount of time and go this long before I give up and try something else. Those are the two things that you have to tell yourself, that I'm willing to put this amount of money in it no matter what, and I'm going to put this amount of time in it no matter what, before I say, yes, I'm going to move forward, or no, this was a bad idea. It's a learning experience. I'm going to move on. And when you're in this experiment, you're allowed to make adjustments. If things are not going correctly, or if you see a better way, make the adjustments and keep moving forward. The adjustment phase is leading into the master of it, the mastering of the system. And you're going from incremental growth to exponential growth. When you are making the adjustments, that is your incremental growth phase. This is the point where you're trying something, it doesn't work, so you tweak it, and then this goes up by 3%. And then you do something over here, and this goes up by 3%. I'll give you a very, very quick example. When I am showing a property to rent, I didn't know I kept forgetting what everybody was supposed to bring back. Copy of your photo ID, 2 pay stubs, all this stuff. And I kept forgetting everything that I was supposed to bring back, a whole checklist of stuff. So I stopped trying to figure out how to remember it, and I just put it on the back of the application. So now when I have the application, they go, what am I supposed to bring back? I flip it over and just bring back all that stuff. I don't have to think about it anymore. That's the incremental adjustments that I made in that tiny part of my business that now I don't have to think about it anymore. And you're always going for mastery. That's how you get to exponential growth. And I've been in the real estate business for 8 years, and I am starting to get in the exponential growth phase now. I'm not there yet. I've been incremental up until this point, but I'm starting to see that exponential growth part. And once you've mastered this way to build extra income, move on. Do something else. If you want to keep going with it, that's fine. I'm more than okay with that. But if you're getting bored with it, man, create that system and delegate it to somebody else. Somebody that wants to earn some active income, someone who wants to learn anything, whatever you're doing. If it's property management, man, write the book on it and then hand the book off to somebody else and let them do it, because now that is truly passive income, because the dials, you're just watching them. You're managing the person. You're managing the person and making sure that they're doing it. And this doesn't have to be a giant conglomerate of a business that you're kind of creating here. This can be something small, one person that you don't even have to physically meet. You can have a virtual assistant, someone that checks in the office once a week, whatever, an email chain, a Zoom, whatever. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go Amazon. It can be small and you can live on a beach with it. So I know that I kind of brushed through this pretty quickly, but Reese, give me some of your thoughts on
So Joe used a lot of his real estate examples, but I'm going to maybe try to use another one for those who may not be familiar, may not be interested in real estate. What about, say you are really into sewing, and man, you can sew a mean patch into some pants, and that's the way you want to go. You really like sewing, so you devote that time, like Joe mentioned, into sewing, and you build it up over time, and you know after a while you can sew an entire quilt. You're starting to feel pretty good about it, and you try your hand at some embroidery, and you get a machine, you can do that, and you test the water selling some embroidered clothing or hats or whatever it is, and you're like, wow, I can actually make a business out of this. I can grow this out. And so you build it up and you grow it up, and then you get to a point where you get some people that can come in and run the machines for you. Now you're just expanding your business, and that thing starts to grow and take off to the point where you're able to support your life doing something that you love. And it's all started from that simple thing that you wanted to do, just sewing. And so, I mean, that's a pretty fast example of that. There's more work and a lot more learning, but there's some point along there where you reach that 40% knowledge, where you know that you're good enough that somebody would buy this somewhere. So you try to sell it, and you just jump off and go. You don't maybe quit your job and go jump into sewing for a living. You do it on the side. Just enjoy it. You enjoy sewing. So if you're sewing already, why not just learn more about it to get good enough to be able to sell it? And once you get to that point and somebody's like, hey, can I buy that from you? Like, you probably know that you're at that point. So you do hit that exponential growth. I was just sharing with Joe and a few others in our group last night about how one of my projects I've been working on, it's still in the pretty early stages, and I can see out over the next 6 months of how my growth is on track to be able to do, and it's all exponential. I'm expecting to see 10x growth over those months just because I'm devoting the time. I'm paying attention to what's going on. I'm trying to learn, trying to get more proficient. But the key in all of it, no matter whether you're doing real estate, whether you're sewing, whether you're doing whatever it is you want to do, be consistent. Just be consistent. Show up time and time and time again, because that's when you're going to be learning those things that put you into that next level and create that exponential growth and set you up for that.
Absolutely. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but what should you do with all this extra income that's coming in? And what is the purpose of creating this extra income? What should I be doing with it? Well, you don't want to blow up your stage 2 and create a bunch more of expenses and on stupid stuff and whatever. So where should this money go? I wrote down here pretty quickly 3 kind of different categories. A third of it, this is just general, just easy button type of situation here. A third of it could go to pay off debt, pay off more debt. That's the easy button. That's probably the easiest out of all 3 of these to do. Pay off debt so that when you get that car payment, that $350 a month car payment, and it evaporates, then that's the same as making $350 a month. You don't have to work for it. Paying off debt, that's one. Another option is to reinvest it in your side business or whatever you're doing to ramp it up. You found something like where if I increase my advertising on this, then I get more clients and whatever. Or if I buy this machine, then I can create things X times faster, or I can create a higher quality video, or whatever it is. Reinvest in your business. It's kind of situational, but I think you would figure it out once you're kind of already in it. The third point that I have here is, shocker, have some fun. Enjoy it. Take that money and create an experience for yourself that you would not have been able to do without this extra income. You need to treat yourself along the way, because you are not grinding yourself down to the nub just so you can become a millionaire, billionaire someday down the road. That's not the purpose of this. Have fun along the way. Have it responsibly. And when I say responsibly, I'm talking about not buying a Ferrari or something that rusts, rots, or depreciates. Put it into something that you're going to create a lasting memory with the people around you or yourself, whatever works for you. But make sure it is use that money for some fun too.
Yeah, and that's a very critical piece. It sounds like, well, yeah, it was the obvious choice. No, it's also very important, because that makes the connection of the dopamine in your brain that, hey, I'm going to have this fun because I did this and earned this money. Now your brain's getting that dopamine hit. Now you're starting to create a chemical pathway in your brain that knows that, hey, when I do this thing that I enjoy, I get to go do this other thing that I really enjoy. So it just connects the dots and completes the process along the way, so that you'll just be propelled that much more into success.
Yeah. And I guess this is kind of a fourth thing or something, but buy yourself freedom, because I don't know very many people that have a W-2 job that work a straight 40 a week. Everybody picks up overtime or takes on an extra role or something, or sells back a vacation, sells a personal day, and just kind of keeps grinding through work. I know people that are hourly, and some people, if you're hourly, take an extra day off. If as long as it doesn't affect your work in a negative way, take an extra day off from work. Stop going in on Saturdays, or don't sell a personal day. Or if you're salary, ask your boss, hey, can I take an unpaid day off? Is it a big deal if I took an unpaid day off? And or if they're going through that phase of the business cycle at your work where, hey, we're looking to kind of cut back. We're trying to meet our quarterly numbers or whatever that is. Anybody looking to take a full week off unpaid? I mean, you can tell quickly who in the room has money and who doesn't, because the people are like that. Those are the people that have money, and they're just like, I'm ready to go. I'll go right now. They just, as soon as they hear that they can take an unpaid week off, they don't even ask. They're just like already walking out the door. Those are the people that have extra money in their pocket and they're looking to enjoy it, that time. Man, just invest in your freedom. And you could put that in fun. You could have fun / freedom, but man, definitely invest in your freedom, because once you get a taste of that, it is very addicting, and it's addicting in a good way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you're putting this extra income towards something like paying off that car payment Joe mentioned, let's say you're making $20 an hour and you got that $350 car payment, then you can buy yourself not having to work those 3 extra days a month to be able to pay for that car. You just got 24 hours of your life back. So it's because of taxes. Yes, that's why the math adds up. So it's literally buying you freedom. You're literally getting your time back because you're being diligent about getting your expenses down with this extra income and debt. So it works. It all comes back around. So if you guys have liked this, go ahead and click subscribe. Feel free to share. Let us know what you think. What things have you tried to make more money? What things do you want to try to make more money? Where do you need help? How can we help you? I'd love to hear more. Thanks.